Film Juice with John.
Hi, everyone.
Did you say hi, Ron?
Hi, everyone.
Oh, okay.
Everyone.
Every Ron.
So today we're going to be talking about a 90s classic by the name of Pagemaster. And this is our first animated movie, huh?
Yes, and it will not be our last.
This one stars, this one's from 1994, stars Macaulay Culkin.
Whoopi Goldberg, Patrick Stewart, Leonard Nimoy,
Christopher Lloyd,
and then the handicapped book.
right? Horror.
Oh God! So horror for the modern days.
Yeah, he was a depressed. You felt sorry for the guy.
Hey, you do, but you don't
you feel,
do what Patrick Stewart's little book guy did. Treated him like crap.
he was a little creepy.
And at one point, did you see? I don't know if you noticed it. And I didn't want to tell you before this because I wanted to make it an issue. At one point, if you freeze the frame, Adventure is wearing a MAGA hat.
Well, oh shoot!
It's like
we need to cancel this movie now.
No, we can't cancel it. It's done. No, but so yeah. So
I thought it was interesting because I forget every time I've revisited this movie how it starts off with Macaulay Culkin's character is just scared of everything, of life. He's spouting out statistics.
He's C-3POing. I'm going to make that a verb. When you start calculating the odds of everything around you, it should be illegal in Las Vegas. Yeah, he's like his dad's frustrated.
He's building a treehouse for his son, and he just wants to do father-son things. But Macaulay Culkin's just like, Dad, 70% of accidents happen in your own home or something like that. And he's like, climb up the ladder, come up to the treehouse. It's nice and sturdy. It's not going to fall apart or anything. And he's like, there's 7% of accidents happen around ladders.
What happens? Ed Begley Jr. almost breaks his neck.
Right. So after he falls down, and I guess because he's frustrated right up on top of the tree, and he reaches for Macaulay. Yeah, that's right. The bag of nails.
Yeah.
Fall on his head and knock him down. He ends up falling off the tree and on his back. Yeah. He would have seriously hurt himself, don't you think?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was a good 20 feet head first.
It was intense.
That's a serious injury.
he just kind of pads himself off, and
they call the doctor. That's also Christopher Lloyd, and he's like, he's lucky he can still feel below the neck. I'll see you later at the library, young man.
Great Scott.
88 miles. This is horrible impression.
Christopher Lloyd is probably one of the best guys
It's
to
always
send you
nice
off
to,
into an adventure, though.
yeah,
Don't you
it's
think?
always nice to see him. Um,
I did enjoy watching him as a kid in Back to the Future and this movie. And I remember one other movie that was really big, or at least to me, it seemed like it was the movie he was in with the alien suit. Remember that one?
my favorite Martian.
Yeah, yeah, I
Huh?
remember liking that movie as a kid.
Forgot about
Strange
that
movie.
movie.
What's that?
I said I forgot about that movie.
Yeah. Movies of the 90s, man. So we're basically at the point where his dad sends him off to get some nails at the local hardware store.
Yeah, and then it's just like a flash flood warning. His parents don't seem to care, but also it's like it's not even that though. It's like it's that era where there's no way for a parent to care unless they just drove him down the street instead of telling him to walk out of spite because they ruined your woodworking. So he goes into the first place that he sees that seems safe, and it's a library, and it's I would say at
Dear
least half
Lord.
those. It's a beautiful set.
It's
I
a
love
really
the
nice
aesthetic.
library. Yeah, I was curious if it was actually real, like a
I
real.
like the dust from the books and how they look kind of flimsy, but also those books are like bound by thread. They weren't just like
Mm,
mass stapled or whatever they use nowadays to I think staples, but um it's a very pretty set, and the way that it's lit also kind of struck me as being a little bit like um the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
oh
That
yeah, in the big warehouse, right?
Yeah, and the warehouse scene. That's what kind of the aesthetic of the library gave me, which was like everything felt kind of like a little forbidden, like you better be careful. And they kind of treated it like everything was almost a trap. Like, how did he? I know it's a movie meant to be about possibly a concussion, maybe. Um, but I do like the idea of like I did want to ask this of you specifically. What do it seems to want to distill life into three genres, right? Like horror, drama, um, adventure. Is that
Well,
all there is to life? Or
horror, fantasy, and adventure.
oh, what did I say?
Horror, drama, and adventure.
Oh,
But that's
damn it,
important.
drama is fantasy. Um, yeah, but yeah, horror, fantasy, and adventure. It felt like it was leaning on those metaphorically throughout the story, which was obvious,
Mm,
but I'm still like, why those three themes? And what does that mean to our protagonist? Did he was he adventurous? Yes. Um, the whole thing was a fantasy, if you want to
mhm,
go that route.
true.
And then there were horrors. But does that encompass all of human prepubescent experience?
Hmm.
And what kind of life lessons did he learn from these kind of I would say more like mid-teen kind of adventure.
Yeah,
'Cause he's still like he's like 10.
right. Supposed to be 10 years old. Yeah, I I thought that he could have gone through more genres. Watching
So
it,
yeah,
I
yeah,
was like, so I was waiting for the knight and in shining armor and the dragon, fight scene. And I was surprised that they threw it in at the end,
yeah.
where he's the knight. He becomes the hero essentially. And I think that was the what I was seeing from it. And that reminds me that it's like the hero's tale. He has to leave his home. He has to leave what he knows to the
Hmm.
unknown, which is the fantasy world. That he finds in the library.
Yeah, it's the proverbial yellow brick road. You
And
just yeah.
and he finds he goes on an adventure and he finds something that um he finds something new for himself, and then he returns home and is able to live, you know that's supposed to impact his life and the world around him, basically. And that's like the basic like hero tale. I like that. I mean, it's very simple. I mean, it's not, because what I was thinking of as an adult now, I mean, looking at it from both perspectives, remembering as a kid, like, as a kid, you just, uh, finding that, I think just naturally as kids, you just having that adventure and imagination about life and possibilities, and the hope, for anything's possible. And he's kind of the odd kid, in my opinion. He's kind of reminds me of you in some ways, honestly. I wonder if you were a kid like that.
About
Um,
about trash.
if you trash, trailer trash.
Oh,
Is
I
that
don't
what-
know.
No, I wonder if you were a kid that like that, who you know he he was spouting off statistics, but some kids can just look at the negative, the negativity,
Oh
or
yeah.
be cynical, or
Oh, I wasn't like that as a kid. That was purely natural development from being a naive child.
oh,
Uh,
okay. Well, yeah, I was just curious to
so
hear something like that. But
no,
um,
I hate everything, and I hate you.
you hate
And
me.
I'm here. You go.
No, but
So
yeah, I feel like that's an odd kind of like child's perspective, like for a child to be that way. So I was actually thinking, I was surprised that they didn't give him show a reason why he was like that. Um, like his, like, for instance, something tragic didn't happen in his life, where maybe like a friend or a sibling died, and so that's why he's so reserved and so cautious. You know what I
probably
mean?
just yeah, exactly.
I thought it would be too much if they were to add something like that to the movie as well. It just didn't. I think it would have been too sad, to see
Yeah,
a kid that way
yeah.
go through that. Um, but as an adult, because a lot of adult movies that hold the same kind of like story, where they were adventurous and then something tragic happened and that radically changed their perspective in life. Um, and one movie I was thinking about was The Curious Life of Walter Mitty.
Mhm.
Or yeah, he's a good example of. And Ben Stiller's done another movie too. But he plays characters. He's done it a few times where he's a dad, or he's very cautious and reserved and calculating, thinking of all the things that can go wrong, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
The best one of that is probably the Royal Tenenbaums, where
that
he
was a good
actually
one.
does, he has OCD. Like, there's something wrong. And he's putting his kids through it as well.
Hmm.
I say that's like the best example of it if you want to refer to him
Yeah.
um, as representing that on film. Um, and then for it to have been triggered by his wife's death at the same time, struggling to make sense.
Oh, that's interesting. So those are some of the things that were popping into my head thinking back on this on the movie, and um, it just. But I really I think it's very simple and very uh, I think to the time it these directors. I'm not sure exactly who started it, but I think these type of movies just really clicked in the you know, it just drew like large audiences, you know.
Yeah.
And
What era was this again?
this was in 94, but I mean these
Okay.
type of movies started in the 80s as well, like I would say mid 80s.
Yeah. 94 to 99, I would say, are like the mid transition to where people started expecting less fantasy and less of the uh, cookie cutter.
So
Uh,
the production team, the animators were all came from movies like An American Tale, which is I could totally, and Land Before Time, which this one reminded me of too, like the animation style
mhm.
reminded me of, and Aladdin. And apparently, this is one of the first films to feature live action with traditional animation and CGI animation all together.
Hmm.
So yeah, An American Tale was released in '86. I didn't know it was that old. And Land Before Time was in '88. I love the. What'd you think of the music?
As good as Disney's at the time.
It has that Land Before Time feel to it. Yeah, I would say it does sound like it was made for this movie.
Yeah.
Um, it doesn't sound, and it sounds like pretty high production. I mean, high quality production. The movie did feel a little bit on the budget side more than I remember it feeling.
Yeah.
One thing you know, it's interesting about the animation and kind of from that time, if you notice, there's very little shadows within the characters. So, like, if, for instance, if they were to move their arm, like stretch out their arm, you wouldn't see a shadow like on their body or anything. Sometimes you don't even see a shadow like on the ground either. And that was something I noticed that just gives it a little bit of a dated feel. And one thing I always forgot is who the Pagemaster actually is. There are a lot of there are a lot of good things about the movie. I don't know if it's a movie that is very memorable, but I don't know. I don't know if it just gets lost in those kind of movies though, from that time period in some way.
Yeah.
It almost feels
Um,
like it doesn't, like if you hear it, I think the name it kind of rings a bell.
yeah, but there's nothing truly outstanding about it to like make it like you put a bunch of.
I did love how he went through different stories throughout his time in the I don't even know what to call it, but he's in the library. It's kind of like this. He's just he goes through Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, um, and you see like little glimpses of books, like the names of them as they're walking through the halls and trying to find the exit. Because if he finds the exit, then that's how he gets out. of that world. Um, but yeah, like I saw one book said The Shining. Another one said Atlas Shrugged. If you caught that one at the end, I thought that was neat. Oh, Moby Dick is another one, and he actually, you know, I love the movie because in some ways it's honestly for adults. I feel like a little bit more maybe
Mm-hmm.
than little kids because I think little kids already think that way for the most part, unless they're unless they're maybe a troubled kid or something. But for me, I just saw a very like kind of in some ways a story for adults. So yeah, anyways, yeah, I feel like in some ways I wonder if this was an adult finding his kind of inner child, and that's as far as the writer. David Cashy was it and was the main screenwriter, as I believe. I'm not familiar with him, but you know what? So I didn't know this, but the budget was 34 million and the box office only hit 13.7 in the US. So even though this one isn't, Home Alone level, this is a good story.
Yeah, it is.
To going through the through the different books, you can tell that there was a bent on like just reading in general
Yeah,
as well.
exactly. Yeah.
And I felt like that became a big part of what the movie was about towards the end is when or no, not towards the end, but just going through it, I feel like that was a big message of like to read. you know.
Yeah.
One thing I do appreciate about these older animated movies is not everything's about like accepting everyone kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
modern movies, like you have let them be them or accept them for who they are or accept me for who I am kind of movie or whatever. Or we're
Yeah.
weird, accept us and kind of thing. But this is something I feel like as an adult, I would say, as long as as well as the nostalgic part of it. Yeah, it's a very easy movie to understand and just kind of have fun with. But I don't know. I mean, I guess you can go. I guess saying that though too is just with any movie too. I guess you can just go as deep as you want with it. Like you said, from the '90s, it was funny when he got home and his parents were like, "Oh, there he is." That was pretty. I was thinking about it. I was like, yeah, maybe back then, but now that's no. I mean, I guess I could see it now. If you really have your own house and your backyard fenced off and everything, I guess it just depends on the family. But yeah, maybe it's because I'm an adult. I'm just like, I don't know if that's a good idea. What if someone comes and kidnaps that kid? How did you feel at the end of this movie, Mike?
Not happy.
No?
No.
Why? You expected more?
Yeah.
One of my favorite scenes was the Moby Dick scene where, yeah,
Yeah, there's scenes like that where they use the sorry, sorry to
it was
cut you off. Let
intense.
me
It was an intense
yeah,
scene.
let me just say like the colors and the angle and the vocals. Um
Yes.
Everything was really good about those intense scenes. Best parts of the movie, really.
Yeah, that one and the dragon scene at the end. The dragon scene was pretty epic.
Yeah.
I think Macaulay Culkin really makes it memorable as well.
No, he did a good job as an actor who hasn't. I'm talking about like the green screen, blue screen acting with nothing kind of crap.
Oh yeah, Yeah.
and I think he did very well.
Right. He did. That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, he did. Yeah, I can't think of a moment or well, and I guess he was when he's animated and whatnot. I'm curious to I wonder if they actually captured his movements and you know and just recorded them and then
Yeah,
animated them
yeah,
because some of that was pretty fluid. Yeah, I was just talking about his movements in the animation. They actually look very fluid, and it looked like I wouldn't be surprised if they had gotten his actual movements and just put them to animation,
yeah,
which is the old school way of animation. I know we
yeah,
talked about that before. This is also very closely related to like a Last Action Hero kind of thing too. Instead of going into a movie, this kid's going into books.
yeah.
Except he doesn't want to go into these
He
books.
doesn't know. He has no interest.
And I wonder if this is caught up in some kind of rights right now with because it was produced by Turner Pictures and Hanna-Barbera and released by 20th Century Fox. So 20th Century Fox is owned by Disney, but it's not on Disney Plus, and it probably is owned by Hanna-Barbera. So the actual
I always thought like all the characters came over with the whole Disney thing.
I thought so too, and I mean I could be wrong. I'm just curious. I was surprised that it wasn't on Disney Plus. Yeah, I don't know what made it get the really bad response, but I think maybe like you said it was maybe just I don't want to say generic because I don't maybe it just didn't stand out enough. Yeah, I wonder what else came out at that time. Let's see. Top animated movies. Oh shoot, Lion King was out. That was the big one that year. I would definitely show my kids this movie. You know, I think it's entertaining and it's a good movie to go back to if you have some nostalgia or curiosity about um, great lineup of actors, voice actors. Animation is done pretty good. Uh, does show its age a little bit, but it's an interesting movie and it's entertaining and it's not very long. It's only 75 minutes long. Yeah, I mean that's a good amount of time. I don't think it needed to be any longer. I would love to see it remastered, even in 4K, but I don't think they'll do that. It would be awesome if they could even go back and add some of that shadow detail and or the shadows and whatnot in the animation. I think we're a little spoiled now with all the technology and everything we have in today's movies. It just looks much more lifelike. So this one though does have film grain. Did you notice that?
Yeah,
And I felt that actually helped the movie and give it that kind of theatrical motion picture kind of look and a little bit more of that lifelike look. Um, but yeah, I mean that'd be my biggest thing with the movie, and then yeah, it's a simple story. It's just a simple.
yeah,
But it was one that was probably told a lot at that time, but it's not really told all that much nowadays. At least I don't think it is. Uh, and Macaulay Culkin, you just gotta love that kid. Like I don't think there's anything that's bad that he's in. Well, any final thoughts on the movie, Mike?
I think it needed a closer tie between the father and the son, because it does seem like the father is a little too hard on him. He's like, no, he needs to not be afraid. Here's some money, go get some nails in the rain on your bike alone, unattended. And I'm like, okay, tough love, but kid had a fucking acid trip time.
Yeah, there was something about, uh, you know, and it makes me wonder if we just have lower expectations for kids, and at that time maybe it was. And in the I mean, I wish they would have just shown like an outside shot of the town,
mhm.
like a sky shot, because you don't know if he's in the city or if he's just in the
Yeah,
suburb
and
or.
the news keeps saying like, "Oh, we're still covered in mud," blah blah blah. Like, what kind of news is that? First of all, and then also, like, is the school open? Like, can people leave?
Why
Um,
why wouldn't that librarian be like, "Hey kid, where are your parents?"
yeah,
Instead, he
you
just
just like
says, "Go
get
down
out.
the dark corridors of my library."
There you will find my soul.
And if you get lost, just look for the exit sign. Like what?
Like, I'll look for it right now.
Right. Yeah, I agree though. I could see what you're saying. That would have added some depth to the movie and a little more of an emotional tie, kind of.
I mean, it's dumb, but I mean, just to make the game worth playing.
It's not dumb. It's not dumb. It's it's I mean, it's life. It's they're trying to portray some real relationship between a father and a son, and uh, yeah, that would have made sense. I wonder if maybe he, but yeah. So about his age, I couldn't imagine sending a 10-year-old to go buy nails at a
Yeah,
hardware store, but maybe a 13-year-old, you know, or 12-year-old maybe, or maybe I don't know, but again, maybe back then, and if the context was like a small town, and he only had to ride his bike a few blocks away, kind of thing, then okay, like a Hey Arnold kind of situation.
yeah,
Then as far as like being close to local businesses and whatnot, but then I'd be like, okay, but it didn't really show you the town at all. He's just riding his bike, and all of a sudden there's this big library in the rain, and after he's just been riding his bike through this neighborhood. um, I'm just like, when are you gonna get to the hardware store? you know like,
yeah. I just went through that.
um, but nonetheless, Macaulay Culkin's in it, and he really and it's overall good.
That's
So
good.
Well, I think that's about it for this one, right?
I think so.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to our podcast. Yeah, definitely some flaws in this movie, but there are some things to like about it. And let us
Yeah,
know what you.
it's at the very least like a nostalgic watch.
At the very least, yeah.
Yeah.
Let us know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and hit that bell to see the latest from Film Juice. I'm John here with Mike,
Hi. And bye.
and we'll see you next time on our next podcast. Adios.
Bye.